Alright, should be able to hear me. So today I'll be starting with the accessories. Includes the railguns, then actual face for the accessories. Then after that I need to do the water slide decals for the kit, and then decide what I want to do for top coat. And honestly, I'm not actually sure how well a top coat will go on this kit. There's a lot of things that once this is top coated won't look anywhere near as cool as it already does. I don't know how to approach that, basically. Another thing to consider is I may not attach the railguns just yet. I can't recall if the railguns themselves, they do. So yes, there are 2 decals on each railgun. So, right here. So I'll probably hold off on attaching the railguns, which makes sense anyway, from the standpoint of top coating. But yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of torn on how to approach some of this once it's actually done. The good news is I have all sorts of types of top coats. I have gloss. I have high gloss. I have matte. And I have satin. Satin is supposedly the neutral kind of top coat. So it would be a top coat that it's slightly more on the matte side than the gloss side, but it doesn't, it's more neutral, so it'd be okay for what I would be wanting to do. What I don't know though, again, is if that's what I'm wanting to do or not. Another piece of reality is I could try to apply satin to certain things, or apply gloss to certain things, and then after that try to apply what I want to other things. Part of what I'm lost on what to do is the photo etching stickers. So that's gonna be a challenge. I don't necessarily have to do that. And similarly, all the gold parts. So there's a lot of this kit that actually may ultimately end up seeming better without a top coat. I don't know. But I definitely want to add the water slide decals and do everything to it, so it makes sense to do some sort of coating. But it's definitely not going to be the easiest kit to top coat, I think. There's a lot I have to think about for it. Okay, so going in order. Why is it? So in theory, of course. Then why would you do that? Oh, of course. Okay. So yes. Trying to get these to be in order so I can do everything correctly. Okay. Alright, so first off we use the SPM120Ls. See if I can rest my arm on something for this. That's a good question. So in my defense, or rather to back up the context for what I would recommend, I've only built 2 versions of Strike Freedom so far. The high grade, and now this master grade extreme. So I don't have any experience with any other version of Strike Freedom. That includes Mighty Strike Freedom. I've not built the real grade, I've not built any of the other master grades like full burst mode or anything like that. So with that context in mind, I guess it really just depends on what all you're wanting out of it and why you're wanting to get it. For example, if you're just wanting an end result that looks pretty good, depending on how much work you want to put into it with custom stuff. Oh, okay. That narrows it down a lot more. So I've seen a lot of breakdowns for the new Master Grade Extreme. And from what I have seen, it's still lacking stuff. It's still lacking some things to be a true Mighty Strike Freedom. It's missing some of I think they called it the Type 2 stuff. Another thing to keep in mind is that there is already, they call it the High Guard Defender or something like that. There's this third-party accessory add-on you can get for the existing Master Grade Extreme that I'm building right now that essentially adds the back unit in weapons that will be on Mighty Strike Freedom. Now I'm not sure how available that is currently. I don't know how much it costs, but there is that to consider. But like I said, it sounded like what people were saying is that the new one is still lacking some stuff somehow. I'm not sure what specifically it's lacking. It did sound like it was missing some weaponry, like some rifle stuff and some other things. And people were also kind of confused on why it included some of the stuff it does include. I think if you want a more comprehensive thing, then definitely Mighty Strike Freedom. The other piece of reality is that the new kit costs like $100 more. So then the question becomes, does what Mighty Strike Freedom offers justify $100 more to you? What's crazier is I've seen pictures of the inner frame, and I'll be honest here, it looks exactly the same as what is on just Master Grade Extreme Strike Freedom. Now, I've been told that there are genuine differences between the two kits, and there's only so many things they could technically reuse mold-wise to produce Mighty Strike Freedom, so it's not as blatant a thing as, let's say, some of the unicorn variants. Like, you know, making a full armor unicorn versus a unicorn. All you're really doing there is just adding some more accessories, maybe a different interface for a backpack unit or something, you know. But apart from that, we're essentially the exact same thing, right? It sounded like the way they were trying to explain it was that Mighty Strike Freedom isn't that similar in the same way. Now, in reality, obviously none of these people actually have the kit. We've not seen pictures or anything of the runners or anything like that. So they could just be playing devil's advocate at that point. I don't know. All I know is that I personally don't really plan to buy the kit, in spite of it releasing in the month of my birth. So it'd be releasing around my birthday. And even then, I still can't really justify it. I don't know. For me, at least, I already have this kit. it would essentially be doing the exact same thing with extra stuff. And while this kit's been really enjoyable, that doesn't mean I'm ready to just immediately drop almost 300 bucks. Will actually be over 300 bucks once I factor in sales tax and shipping and stuff on what's essentially the same kit with extra stuff. However, if you don't have either of them, then yeah, I definitely think the new one's definitely one to consider. Also, there's a reality that third-party places may make add-ons and expansions for this new one. In fact, Bandai might make some. Not that they've in any way hinted or implied they will, but I wouldn't put it past them to do some sort of premium Bandai thing, you know? Another thing to consider is, do you want the one that looks accurate, or do you want something that has some cool effects parts to it? Because there's 2 or 3 other versions of the Master Grade Extreme Strike Freedom through premium Bandai and the Gundam Base exclusive stuff. One of them is this really cool translucent clear thing, and it looks immaculate. The other was this Twilight Snow white and blue metallic thing that's ridiculously expensive. And I want to say there was like a full blacked out version, but maybe that's just something someone did. I don't know. But those also exist. Granted, what's just keep Bandai from doing the same thing for the new one, I don't know. I guess it also really depends on how soon you want to have the kit. The March release date, if I understood correctly, was specifically for Japan, and I can't recall exactly what region of the world you are in, but I know that outside Japan it takes times for kits to ship out and then get through customs and blah blah blah. So it may not actually be March when it arrives to retailers you can buy from where you're at. It could be months later. Whereas, depending on where you look, or can look, you might be able to get the kit I'm building right now and not have to wait. But yeah, a lot of stuff just looks blatantly exactly the same. I guarantee you the sticker sheet's going to be almost exactly the same. The photo etching stickers they showed, literally exactly the same. What else was there? I don't know if any of the existing third-party accessories for for Master Grade Extreme Strike Freedom will work on Mighty Strike Freedom, but there's a chance they might. So for example, there's a Cosmos LED kit for the regular Strike Freedom Master Grade Extreme, and that might work. Now a lot of that LED kit is for the back unit, and accompanied by this other third-party accessory that does this really cool light effects or wing effect thing for when the wings are fully expanded on the back unit. Now, considering it technically already has those wings included, or the back unit, that might work with Mighty Strike Freedom, I don't know. Or it might not need much modification to work. But yeah, if you aren't intimidated by the price tag, it could be the better one to get, I think, if you don't already have one. For me, where I already have this one, it's a lot harder to consider, especially with that price tag entering perfect grade range. And for that price, there are multiple perfect grades I could consider instead. I could get perfect grade, perfect strike Gundam, for example. It's only $5 to $10 more once factoring tax. There's a bunch of other perfect grades within that price range of just under or around $300. So for me and what I already have, it's a lot harder to justify. However, if I didn't already have what I already do, I might consider it instead of what I got, just because there's more to it and stuff. But that's my thoughts on it, at least. And again, it really just boils down to what all you're wanting out of the kit and what you're wanting to do with it. I'd say regardless of which version you get, the build experience will probably be pretty similar in that the approach will be the same. It'll probably have you build the inner frame first. It includes the metallic extreme metallic combination parts. There'll be some cool articulation stuff, which means how you assemble some things might be novel compared to other kits. So that will be the same for both. Obviously, there will be more to build with Mighty Strike Freedom. And like I said, if you're fine with that price, it really just depends on if you think it's worth it at that point. The kit I bought was $180, and the new one's like $280. I don't know. I just think it's crazy how expensive they can make some of these master grade kits without them being some exclusive premium Bandai or Gundam based thing. That the reason it's that much is because of some special coding or whatever. And instead it's just straight up a model kit in the master grade extreme line. And they want that much for it. I could even get the perfect grade Strike Freedom for around the price of Master Grade Extreme Mighty Strike Freedom. Because there are sales that regularly go on from different retailers that essentially bring the price of that down to cheaper than Mighty Strike Freedom retail. Like 15 or 20% off bumps the price down to so that it's cheaper. So that's just the way my mind works. I like to, when it's price tag that high and when it's a kit that I don't see and immediately go, I need this in my life, I do a lot of logical and reasoning stuff, or logic and reasoning stuff, where I try to, you know, break down the pros and cons of the kit and what I'm getting for the money versus what else I could get for the money. And at least for me, with what I already have, what else I could get for the money I would enjoy a lot more. I'll also say whichever one you decide on, the kit I'm building right now is still a really good kit. There's not really anything wrong with it. It's not really lacking anything. And again, like I said, there are third-party things for it. The availability for those might be a bit iffy. I don't have them, for example. That was something I had considered doing at one point in time. I just decided not to bother because one of them I just couldn't really find. And at that point it'd be, you know, paying 120, 150 bucks to get those third-party accessories to make it into the cool thing you see all the pictures of that people do. The wing effects and the lighting and then some cool other stuff. It's just not... It becomes a bit much, you know? Not just price-wise, but all the work to set it up and stuff. If I'm going to do all that work, I'd rather it be for a perfect grade, personally. Like, currently I have this weird fascination with a perfect grade Exia, where I have this cool idea of how I would want to do it and the colors I'd want to use, because I wouldn't want it to be the base color for everything, and all this other stuff I would do with it. But what's funny is I don't really actually like Exia, the Gundam itself. I just have this cool idea for what I could do with it, and from an artistic point of view, that's the appeal. Not because I like Exia, the Gundam. But to do all that would be at least $350. I would want to get the Cosmos LED kit and the Delphi decal, hollow decals. I would do some custom painting to incorporate colors I prefer over the yellow, the blue, the red that are on it. I'd probably keep the white more or less the same. Maybe add some more color to some places to change the aesthetic a little bit. And then I would top coat with super gloss to really bring out the effect of the hollow decals and the LED kit on the clear parts. One thing I still want to do someday, once I've got some stuff figured out for incorporating things with my channel, I would want to figure out how to either put my existing VTuber model or my character from Final Fantasy XIV, or if I end up getting an actual model commissioned at some point, whichever model ends up being, I would want it to be in 160 scale, then 100 scale, and 144 scale, and all that, as a quote-unquote pilot that I would then have next to or with those kits, instead of the original crew that comes with the model kit themselves when I'm doing the custom colors. And that's the other thing I would want to do with the Exia kit, and that's why I would change some of the colors, is to make it more like what would fit my channel more. Oh, speaking of stuff, assuming you're still lurking, did you see the crazy new 3D printer stuff? I forget the name of the company. They've been around on industrial side for quite a while. They're putting out a new 3D printer combo that can do this crazy kind of printing with multi-material color stuff. Sort of like those printers that do all sorts of colors. You ones with the really expensive ink cartridges for really detailed quality pictures and whatnot. It can essentially do that, but with anything 3D. But you can also use it for 2D. So this means not only could you use it to just straight up print a 3D model, but have it already be the correct colors instead of having to paint it yourself later on. Also, because it can do 2D stuff, one of the things they showed off was straight up replicating Pokemon cards with that crazy holographic effect and stuff. And on this peel off adhesive thing that they then just put on stock card of a type of card used for an actual Pokemon card to essentially create your own Pokemon cards. Now, it wasn't with the intent of counterfeiting or anything like that, but just showing what the printer itself was capable of. So it's some crazy stuff that is almost too good to be true, but looking more into it, it's definitely possible. This is just the first time it's been done on consumer scale that is meant for average Joe to consider. Unfortunately, it's not cheap. The materials for this printing are super expensive, as is the machine itself. So, you know, like, upfront costs easily $6,000. And then I assume you'd have to figure out software usage to do all the coloring stuff. But if you could figure it all out, you could do some incredible things with it, for sure. And it has me excited for the future of what else will be possible. And since this is just the first iteration for consumer, them and other places will refine it and optimize over time. And I hope it goes down in price and up in accessibility, both on hardware side and software side. I love the idea of being able to create my own custom foil decals and stuff to put on kits, or, you know, background cards or whatever to have as part of diorama, or to, you know, show the name of the kit or whatever. Or, you know, just straight up 3D printing things that are already in the color that you wanted without having to do any painting like that. That also sounds incredible, because I won't claim to be anywhere near, or I won't claim to be good at painting. And for me, at least, having a machine that could just do exactly what I want sounds far more appealing than having to build up the skill required to still not come close to that level of fidelity. But the price is just ridiculous, so I don't know. It's not something I plan to buy or save up for, that's for sure. I don't know anything about the software side, and that's the huge thing that would be getting in my way, because I would only be able to recreate what people have already set up software-wise, not create my own thing software-wise, which kind of defeats the purpose. Oh, it wasn't even a spot that got me the thing. Of course. Classic. Classic blending. I'm sure it'll be fine. Similarly, I'm sure those parts will be fine. Once I get the spray booth set up, I may have to change how I do kits, even if I still straight build them. If I have access to an easy way to top coat, it's going to be harder not to top coat kits, and at that point that means I could just use sanding paper for some stuff. Because the only way to make something that's been sanded look good is to top coat, fill in all those little grooves and stuff that were made by sanding. Okay. Come on, yeah. There we go. I hate the position of some of these. Like this one right here. Can I even cut that? There we go. That's the only one of those I can do with this snipper. On to the next part. I'm definitely looking forward to painting some stuff, figuring out workflow for that and what I will end up doing. Part of me is a bit apprehensive about the complexity that will be added to it. You have to have a higher level of understanding for assembly process and mechanically how a kit operates and how parts interact with each other when deciding what to paint and what of it to paint. Hey Johnny, how's it going? So I am off work for the next 2 weeks. Yesterday was the last day of work for factory shutdown. I didn't get that memo until the end of yesterday, and I was fully expecting to have to work today. However, I didn't have to work today. So that's why I'm live now, doing stuff as opposed to having to wait till tomorrow. Today, I will likely not do decal stuff. And I'll save that for tomorrow, probably. If you check my YouTube community posts, you'll see more information I've shared on what my plans are, etc. But essentially, current focus is to finish this kit, including the decals, and get it prepped for top coat. And once I got the spray boost stuff set up, I will resume work on the kit by doing the top coat. And then that will be that kit finished. And in the meantime, because some of getting spray boost set up requires things I'm going to order at start of next month, I will be doing some gaming streaming. So I've got a poll up right now where people can vote on what they would prefer to see me play. "99-degree weather." That's crazy. At work, I get around anywhere from 15 to 20,000 steps in each day. I have no idea what temperature it is inside the building, but with the safety stuff I am required to wear, I will say I do not feel cool and relaxed at all. So core temp might be a bit up there. I was trying to figure out how many miles that might end up being, and if we take it literally, which would be a lower number than reality, then each foot of distance would equate to 1 foot step, as calculated or as tracked by my smartwatch. Then in that case, you take, you know, however many feet, we're in a mile, it's like 5,000 and change. And yeah, so it'd be around 4 miles or so, I think, that I'd be in theory walking each day at work. But I think that also includes steps going backwards. So I'm not sure how that would actually work. But yeah, I'm excited to be off work again for a couple of weeks. And I really struggled last break to be able to do anything, dealing with a lot of autism related things that I just couldn't really get a beat on and stay on top of, shall we say. So, but I've learned a lot from that, and I'm hoping I can approach things better this time and actually be able to be streaming when I want to be streaming and do the things I want to do and whatnot. I definitely have some plans for this break. I'm not sure how well they will go. Okay. That does help me put it in perspective, so I could easily be doing over 5 miles every day at work. That's kind of crazy, because it adds up fast, you know? That means over a full week of work, I could be walking upwards of 30 miles. I'm too used to being lazy with all this panel lining and what I use to clean it up and how well it does at cleaning it up. I really need to start using the steady acrylic liquid panel liner I have. I just haven't felt like taking the time it requires to learn how to do all that just yet. Plus, you have to change how you clean it. That's another thing I haven't really wanted to get into yet. All this stuff takes time, you know? So maybe that's something I should do during this break, is try to find a kit to use it on. And even if I don't fully build the kit, I could get some practice in on using it and cleaning up and stuff, which would help me in the future. That's definitely something I should consider doing, probably. Okay. So currently I'm prepping all the remaining parts for the rest of the kit, not including the action base. And then I'll assemble all the different accessory stuff. That one probably wasn't smart to cut. It was at an angle, which meant the thickness might be different. It'll be interesting to see what all I decide to do once I get the spray booth set up, though. Because then I'll finally be able to do custom stuff like I wanted, which means it'll probably change my approach to what I buy and why. Because then I'll have to start, or I'll want to start looking at kits through the lens of incorporating them into my channel lore with custom painting and stuff. Also, once I become more experienced specifically at Gundam kits, I want to try to kit bash something in master grade. I don't have any ideas beyond that yet. I think part of the issue is it's too vague starting point. And it would be nice, I've not looked yet, but it would be nice if there was some sort of database or books or guides or stuff on the sorts of things to look for in parts to decide if you can or can't use it for kit bashing, and if you can, what you can use it with and whatnot. Because there's a lot that goes into kit bashing. And then there's things that work without any sort of modification and things that require modification. And you know, it just goes up from there and there. I mean, you can do custom things like scribing to add your own panel lines and blah, blah, blah. And it can get crazy. Not to mention you could at that point create your own parts from scratch without actually using existing parts. So I'm not too sure about that, but that's something I wouldn't mind doing just as a fun little project. I just like the idea of having a Gundam that's quote-unquote mine, that I made myself. And even if other people could easily replicate it, or if it doesn't really stand out as truly unique, it would still be something that I made myself, you know? And that would be part of the channel lore as well. Let's see here. I may have managed to snag a copy of The Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered for Switch 2, physical copy. In the US, it got a pretty terrible launch. You couldn't really pre-order it. And once it went up on places like Amazon, scalper bots just immediately consumed all the stock, basically. And it was sold out within minutes. And of course, stores didn't even get any copies in actual stores. It was just all online and all sold out immediately. It was just ridiculous. But there were some restocks today from some places. And I've managed to secure a copy. So now all that remains is for the thing to ship. And until it ships, I haven't for sure acquired a copy. And even then, I could argue I haven't for sure acquired a copy until it's in my hands and the cartridge works. But you get the idea. The main thing I don't know yet is if they'll actually ship the thing or if they'll cancel the order. Anything after that, it's treated like a normal item, you know? Like any other thing you order online that ships to your house. I was getting close to importing a copy because I really do want to have a physical version of that game. I've got, I don't know why, but I got a physical copy of Skyrim for Switch 2, which doesn't come with a game cartridge at all. It just comes with a redeem code for a digital copy. But I have that, and so from an OCD perspective, I really want the physical copy of Oblivion, especially because the game's actually on the cartridge. And so I don't want to have to spend a bunch of money on an SD card for the Switch 2 until I absolutely have to. So any game I can get that's a physical game, I would rather get it when possible. Even the games that are digital but have a key card physical copy, I'd prefer to get if I can. You know, like what's it called, Pokotopia or whatever? I've got that game as a physical, even though it's just a big fat download. I was wishing Final Fantasy XIV would get a physical copy, but it didn't. And I would need to get an SD card to even download that game, so I didn't bother buying it on Switch 2 yet. Even though I really, really, really wanted it, from the idea of being able to play in bed using the TV at my bed. It would just be so nice to have from that perspective, but not with the price tag it would require. I know a lot of the custom stuff I want to do using a Saray booth is related to what I want to do in my channel or gaming-wise. So racing games means if there's a model kit for the car, then I could get that model kit and do whatever color scheme I want, and depending on the game, there's a high chance I can have that be the livery in the game. And so that would be really cool and immersive. Then there's some other flight sim games where similar story, you know, there's planes. So be flying those planes and the whatever color scheme stuff. I actually did some of that already. I just didn't have a physical rendition of them, but there were two things I created. One of them was for Digital Combat Simulator World with the A4E Skyhawk, and then another one was for Il2 Sturmovik Great Battles Stalingrad, Battle of Stalingrad rather, where I did a livery for one of the Il2 planes. I forget the exact plane it was. It doesn't matter. But the point is, I'd be able to do stuff like that, but also have an actual physical model kit of it. And that's what I would like to do. And then if I could have, you know, physical things of my vtuber model in the same scales as these models, and that would also be quite nice. You know, because then you can take all sorts of cool pictures and diorama stuff. Like, the potential is just endless at that point, right? And so that's something I would like to be able to approach, because then the content I do could turn into this big deal. Or rather, a bigger thing than if I'm just, oh, I'm just gonna hop on and play this flight sim. No, no, no. It's all this other stuff I can do the leading up to it and then do it. And do all this cool lore-related stuff at the same time as part of a setup or whatever. And I just think stuff like that would be a lot of fun. And Spray Booth will help me do all that. Speaking of, I'm surprised we haven't gotten a game, a mecha-based game that is essentially Ace Combat but mechs. I know some people like to think of Armored Core as that. I haven't played one of those games yet, but my understanding of those was that it doesn't necessarily do things the way Ace Combat is done. And what I specifically want is something that's literally Ace Combat, but mechs. And I think that would be quite nice. I did at launch. I played it during the open beta and a little bit at launch. I forget exactly what it was that I didn't like, but something about it just made me feel very irritated on a subconscious level, and it wasn't something I could consciously perceive as any specific thing causing it. I just knew that whenever I was playing the game, something about it just made me feel irritated the entire time. Like even in character creation and the sort of character I was able to create, or, you know, trying to customize the appearance of the mechs, or even the gameplay. So just something about it on a subconscious level just made me feel very irritated and angry the whole time. And so I didn't really enjoy it or put too much time into it. And so I played a little bit of the open beta, you know, like maybe an hour or two. And then I checked it out again when the game actually released, you know, to see what all had changed and improved and whatnot. And it was basically just the same thing. I didn't see or could notice anything different for the things I had done. I also, at the time, was really struggling financially. The job I had, they put me on reduced pay. I was making not quite half of what I was making before, but it was close to it in terms of what I was able to spend money on. And it was just really frustrating to me the way the game handled monetization stuff. And so some of the frustration I felt was probably around that as well. I had kind of sort of every once in a while pop my head back in, looking up news related to Mecha Break, sort of see how it was doing and what all they were planning to do and stuff. And I don't understand the full story, but it looked like whatever people were currently working on the game were planning to release some PvE related content at some point, and more single player focused stuff, and do some other things. So if they manage to quote unquote turn it around and make the game better, and whatever nebulous thing that means to its existing player base, I wouldn't mind if the game continues to exist and receive updates for many years. Whatever it was when it initially came out in an open beta and then at launch wasn't something I enjoyed. And if they're able to turn it into something I would enjoy, I would definitely consider playing it again. I did see that there was 1 or 2 model kits related to Mecha Break announced. I don't think they're out yet. The one I saw was the 2 I saw were these essentially Megami device model kit type deals, but from some Chinese company I forget the name of. And so it wasn't where it was the actual mechas themselves, but it was, and it wasn't even the pilots themselves either, but some generic looking girl thing with armor and stuff inspired by the mechs. And of course they had extenuating features like busts and posterior to make them more appealing. I don't know why they didn't do actual mechs, but it is what it is. Because that would also be kind of cool, you know? Try to... If they had actually released model kits of the mechs, then, you know, get those model kits, customize them, personalize them the same way I would do in the game, and use them that way and stuff. And that would be kind of cool, because then I could incorporate that into the channel lore and stuff. I know I really liked the song by Hiroyuki Sawano. I forget what it was called, but I really liked that song. And the trailers they did for it, the high quality CGI trailers, those look pretty cool. It's not that the gameplay itself was necessarily bad or anything. It's just the PvP stuff, the time to kill, plus player skill. I mean, it was pretty difficult to actually get kills. And that also meant you were more likely to get killed because, you know, team-based stuff and whatnot. And so I didn't really feel like I could get a good beat on what I needed to do to be better at the game. I also just don't really necessarily like PvP games in general anymore. Many years ago, we'll say 5+ years ago, after some introspection, sort of realized why those sorts of games make me so upset. And as a result, I tend to avoid them as much as possible. And the only reason I even tried Mecha Break in the first place was because it was Mecha. And there's not really any other game like that for Mecha that already exists. Of that kind of Mecha, anyway. So that's where my approach was for that. But then it had all those things that I really disliked from PvP based games, and for whatever reason I just couldn't really enjoy it for the novelty of it being mecha. And that was that, basically. My skill level in games is average or slightly below average, and with enough time I can improve my skill to be above average. The problem is the way PvP games work is, so for regular games, well for single player games or co-op games, if I were to put it into a graph, the graph would be linear, right? The amount of time I put into the game is the amount I improve. It's a linear scale. You know, it just goes up the same. Now, obviously, it might plateau at some point, and it becomes more difficult to improve beyond a certain skill level. But as far as initial improvement and being familiar with the game and stuff, it's very linear. And once I've put in enough time with the game, then I'm pretty decent at the game, you know? And the problem is, I need to put a lot more time into PvP games to reach the same level of skill I can attain in co-op or single-player games. Because it being PvP means other players can prevent me from playing, right? So, you know, you're playing deathmatch or whatever, and when you're not alive, or when you're interrupted from doing something, it takes more time to get back to that point, right? And so it just feels a lot more frustrating because you put in, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 times the amount of time into the game, and improving is a lot more slower for me. And the things that I enjoy in such games that are live service games is, you know, the things you can acquire by putting time into the game. The achievements, the accolades, the physical, or rather the, what word am I looking for? The things that you can equip and show off, you know, like the skins on your weapons, or the trinkets, or whatever, the keychains, you know, things like that, that show other people, including yourself, that, wow, this person's put a lot into this game, they're pretty good at it, or, you know, they're just a long-time player, they really like the game. And the problem I have with these live surface PvP games is, you know, all the battle passes they do, and then of course all the FOMO stuff they do, and they lock a lot of the progression for those behind performing certain actions that you never really perform in regular gameplay. So you're forced to play the game in a completely different way to get to, you know, a completed challenge, get XP towards the battle pass or whatever. And so you might have whatever skill level for normal play, but then you're basically a beginner at doing whatever it is that's wanting you to do for that challenge, right? And just because you are working on whichever challenge doesn't mean everyone else is as well. And so you're having to not only be a beginner at doing things a certain way to complete this challenge, but having to go against people that will likely be playing the game normally and have a higher level of skill than you. And so it just becomes incredibly frustrating to try to complete all those things to do progression on the battle pass to get the cool things you really want at the end, and blah blah blah. And it can feel really frustrating if you can't get it in time, and then you've lost out on something that you really wanted. And it is such a toxic thing, right? It's this whole psychological thing that they've done and created, and essentially turns playing the game into having a second job. Something that you have paid money for the battle pass to even have all those things, and then you're having to slave away doing all this random shit just to unlock that stuff. It's very masochistic, in my opinion, and it just messes with my mind and psyche in a way that I don't enjoy. And since I identified those were essentially the root causes for why I don't really like those games and decided to stop playing them, I've enjoyed gaming and life in general a bit better. But Mecha Break is just another one of those games that has that stuff, or at least it did when it came out. So I'm not sure what all it's like now or what all they'll do in the future. But that's sort of why I don't really play those sorts of games anymore. And I just don't really find them appealing. Also, another huge factor I didn't mention at all, I don't have any friends. I'm not this socialite who knows all these people and people who know people and blah blah blah. I don't have a friend list with 500 people that I can just instantly invite others to fill up a lobby with or and squat up with and shit like that. I don't have anyone. Literally no one. So when I'm playing these sorts of games, it's by myself. Also, I don't like voice chat because it's so toxic with random people that adds immense stress and anxiety to the experience. So I always disable voice chat. I can't talk, others can't hear me, I can't hear them. Only text-based stuff. And so the social aspect of, you know, playing something with the boys after work, you know, winding down, getting dubs, I don't get to experience any of that. So the only appeal of the game is, do I enjoy the gameplay loop? Do I enjoy what I can unlock? Blah, blah, blah. That's it. That's the only appeal to me. And so that's the other reason I prefer single-player games and co-op games. And at least with co-op games, because they aren't playing against you, they're playing with you. Playing with randoms isn't an issue for me. So like Helldivers 2, Monster Hunter games, you know, MMORPGs, things of that sort. I don't really have any issue interacting with people in those or anything, because, you know, they aren't people I'm up against that are hindering my ability to do things. Yeah, I came at that at a weird angle and nicked the part itself. Cool. Uh-oh, clear parts. Oh no. I just realized I actually did an oopsie earlier because I dealt with the clear parts with this. I'm not going to do that again. I did try another mecha game that released around the same time as Mecha Break. It was okay, but then it immediately shut down. So it's like they could tell basically immediately that this game's not going to work, and so they stopped it. And it was even cooler than Mecha Break, because, in my opinion, because it was more like Zoids versus Gundam. So it had these different units, and some of them were bipedal and some of them were quadrupeds, and it was so cool. Oh, it was so cool. But I guess people didn't like it enough, and so it flopped pretty hard player count wise, and they just immediately said, nope, we're not gonna bother anymore, and shut it down. I don't even remember what it was called. I'm gonna check for giggles. It might have been Steel Hunters. Yeah, Steel Hunters. Yep. So October 8th of last year it shut down. It was such a cool idea for a game. I just wish they'd... I don't know. I really liked it though. It definitely had, shall we say, a lower budget than Mecha Break did, that's for sure. And probably a lot less time in development. But what was available was really cool. And like I said, it had these like Zoid things in it. It was really cool. So the novelty factor of that was a lot higher than Mecha Break, to me at least. Unfortunately, I think the closest we'll get currently is still Warframe, which is more power suit than full-on Gundam. But that's the sort of game I would like to have as a Gundam thing, you know? I want a game like Warframe, but with actual mechs instead of powered suits. Or golem constructs, or whatever you want to call them. Okay. There is this one interesting mecha game I want to play at some point. What was it called? Something Dolls. It's on Steam. It's a PC game. Still believe it was a Japanese developer though. Let's see if it's still on my wish list. Doll's Nest. The game is called Doll's Nest. I think this is the correct one. Yeah. Doll's Nest is a lot more like a Mecha Musume type thing. Like if Mecha Musume was a, or Frames Arms Girls was a Souls-like game. That's what Doll's Nest is. But that's something I want to play at some point. It's a single player game, I'm pretty sure. Alright, let me try to remove panel line on this. Problem is these parts are kind of flimsy. So I may not be able to do that until it's fully assembled. Well, I'll see what I can do here. That's rough. Here it is cleaned out. Does look better at least. Yay. Now to do the other one. Alright, that's all parts. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick break here, check some laundry, then I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Alright, let's get started on actually assembling something for once. So we start over here. Okay, so there is one sticker later on, it's down here. I believe it's the gold part we're talking about. Oh, interesting. So we're saying that this should go here first. But wait, hold on. Oh, there's another opening. Okay. So because we're showing it from this side, it's not as clear. But they want to go like this. Okay. And having done that, then attach to this. And there we go. That's how I wanted it to be done. And I just do the same thing again. There we go. Okay. Oh, I remember this song now. Finally, it let me remove it from my favorites. So there was a bug where I couldn't remove it from my favorites, and the reason I wanted to remove it from my favorites was the F-bomb. I don't want to have all sorts of strong profanity in the songs that I have playing while I stream. I myself may become a bit animated and vocal with things from time to time, but that doesn't mean I want the music to constantly be having such things said. So I try to keep the music neutral at least. And I just wasn't able to remove it from my favorites. Because I had started listening to the song, thought it was amazing, so I added it to my favorites. Then I heard the F-bomb, and I was like, I know I need to remove it from my favorites, but it said error, or whatever, and just never let me remove it. Anyway. I still think it's a good song. I just don't want that word being constantly spewed out on stream by the music I play. Okay, so trying to adjust this so you can see better. There we go. So it's referring to one of these parts. I think this one. Here's the second one. Okay. What is it even grabbing on? Part of my headphone keeps grabbing on to my apron top. It's annoying. Oh. See if that helps. Well, whatever. Okay. I think it wants these parts. No, wait. I think it does want this part. Yeah, it says black. Okay. That's for sure this part. So it's referring to a part that goes here. Oh. See if I can set this up correctly then. There we go. Like that. I don't know why it keeps doing that, but it's very distracting to kind of solve it. Alright. MGEX is done now. So next, need to attach these somehow. I believe like this. It wants me to go ahead and do that. Yep, like that. As shown here. Okay, let us move up. Then it wants the upper part. It's going to be this one. There we go. Cool. And it wants this plus some other parts. starts right here. Okay. If I'm reading correctly, it goes like this. Then it goes like this, maybe? Question mark. We'll find out if I'm correct here. Looks like I am. I hate those nub marks so much. Wasn't really able to do anything to them though. Yeah, I definitely use a knife on them. So. There we go. Okay, cool. So next, we deal with the remaining parts. Okay. One of them has small holes, the other has big holes. It's looking like it's saying to use the big holes first. And then use the gold part. It looks the same on both sides almost. Okay. Then I'm saying first we close this and then we slap on the other part. All right. There we go. Cool. Okay. And so that's it for this. Next I'm going to put this in a container because I need to move on to the next thing. Yes, I'll do that. Well, we'll pretend that's how it should be. Okay, so it's soon sticker time. So first off, run this step right here. So once this and this interface with this. So there we go. Okay. And it talks about this thingy, which needs a sticker. And this is where, so which sticker is it? Number 30 it says, which I think is blue, we'll find out. Yep, number 30 is blue, okay. Admittedly, seeing the sticker and seeing the part itself, I wonder what the point of all the detail on this part is. So this part itself is very detailed. Not that you can tell, but it is, trust me. And so yeah, I don't know why you would do that. You're just losing out on all that detail. I don't see the point, honestly, of using a sticker on this. I'll do it simply because that's in the directions, but there is no way that you're gonna have any of this detail. Just for giggles, I'm gonna look and see if I can find more pictures, or the pictures of the assembled kit, and see if I get to see any of the detail. So right here, it's the closest we get. Where's this magnifying glass at? So that right there is the closest we get, right? So it does have some detail in it, which means they did something to sort of make the sticker go into that detail. You can also sort of see it right here. Let's look at other pictures. Okay, admittedly, I can't see as much detail as I thought. I actually can't see any of the detail. Okay, it doesn't matter though. Why they do it that way is beyond me, but that's the way they do it, so I'll follow what they say. Okay. So this can go over here. Well, this can go over here. So that I can get this done correctly. So for this, I'm going to use the small vise that I have. An offline raid. I've not gotten one of those before. Interesting. Well, welcome everyone. I am BountyV, the VR Viking. I'm also a Dragon VTuber. I do a lot of plastic model kit stuff. A little bit of gaming. Currently working on Master Grade Extreme Strike Freedom. Yeah, that's fair. Well, thank you for joining and for the raid. Let's see if I can get this set properly here. The build's going pretty good so far. Let me pull up what I got. So here it is. It's a straight build that I'm doing. I am doing all the stickers and stuff. So we got that going on. Get out the back unit as well here. So what all were you all up to on Discord? Were you building something exciting? Alright, let's see if I can get this. I'm gonna run it here. I think I got it in. Yay. Okay. Ooh, the Gundam Mark II, nice. I've been looking and looking and looking for the Master Grade Gundam Mark II version 2.0 to complement my Zeta 2.0. And I know it got a restock at some point last year, but no place I've found in the States has gotten it in. So currently, the only Mark II I've built is the perfect grade. Okay. So anyway, this is the part. Here is the sticker. Yeah, that's why I really want it. What do you think of this magnifying glass setup, by the way? Probably a bit different way of doing it than you might see typically. But here's what this sort of looks like here. Of course, over here it looks a lot bigger. And actually, here is you want to see what it really looks like default? This is what the step actually looks like, right? So I've zoomed it in a lot to get on the magnifying glass. Now, you can sort of tell that each individual one of these is a sticker since I've taken some of those out. But that's really hard to see, isn't it? And those stickers, whoops, go right here. That's the sticker. So of course I can do that. Then I can also do this. Then I can sort of do this, and now you can suddenly actually see the sticker for once. But yeah, this is what the setup actually looks like. And I've heavily zoomed in on the magnifying glass to show assembly process and sticker application. Let me zoom that back in here as best as I can. I'm basically min-maxing what I can do with a Brio 4K camera webcam. We'll say that's fine. Yeah, those are unironically the smallest stickers I've ever seen. And just because I can, I will show you how kind of bullshit it actually is. So let's get out some tweezers here from Display for some size comparison to show just how bullshit this actually is. Okay, so obviously you can kind of make them out now. I've zoomed it in a little bit. So this is just the Display 90°. So I did this insane thing on one of my earlier kits Not one of these really tiny ones. But I've had it where I put a sticker on a kit. I think it was a real grade Wing Gundam, and it bounced off after I was applying it. Just bounced off and it landed on my skin. So I have a clip of that somewhere. That's one, but I have actually it has bounced off before, but I was able to find it. I forget where it was, but it was definitely crazy. So anyway, you can sort of tell, you know, that's how big the tip is, and the where does the tip end and the sticker begin? You know? So I can sort of see if I can do this. You can sort of tell here, the tip is essentially as big as this sticker. How are you even supposed to get that off, and how are you supposed to be able to move it around, be able to do stuff, right? Let me get out a different pair of tweezers. So this one here, very thin point, very pokey. Like this will stab. This will draw blood. It's that pokey. You can sort of tell a comparison here. That's definitely thinner. And even this one. It's still not quite what you want. Even the tip of a hobby knife, I'm sorry, is still not gonna cut it. And this is even a smaller blade. This is the Alpha, I think it's the AK5 or AK4, I forget which one's the smaller one, but this is a really small blade. This is a normal hobby knife blade. So I guess, yes, technically the tip of this one might do the trick, but it's just very difficult. It's still quite big compared to it. Then the other thing I had to figure out was, okay, so I can get it off, right? But then I still need to be able to use something to get it off of what I used to get it off onto the thing. So I ended up doing this 2 tweezer method. I think what I did was I used, it was either this one or this one to actually grab off of this. I believe it was this one somehow. And even though it was like holding 75% of it on the tip or something, I was able to just put it in place and sort of use this one to just poke and move it a little bit. Now that's the way I was able to figure out how to do it. But I cannot fathom this decal smaller than this. I cannot fathom how one would exist and how it would be expected to be used tool-wise. Because tools can only get so small for consumer use, right? It was just ridiculous. So that's the craziest thing I've had to deal with in this kit so far. Trying to find where I've put the other cover for this. It may have fallen down. Here it is, of course. But yeah, so there's some fun stuff in this kit for sure. Let me get out the other stuff I need for this one sticker though. Okay. So we are using this sticker right here to go onto this, which is part of a railgun, whatever thing, sensor thing. And I actually looked at the pictures of the model kit because this is what confuses me, right? You can't really tell here. Let me try and use this to make it more obvious. Try to get the lighting to show it better. Okay, there you go. As you can kind of sort of see, this part has some detail to it. It's not just a flat part, right? What's it want you to do on this detailed part? Put on a very flat and thick 3D metallic sticker. You lose the entirety of the detail on this. This part's entire purpose is so you can slap a sticker on it. What was that design choice? And so I actually looked at the pictures of the kit fully assembled right before you guys dropped by, I was trying to figure out, well, okay, can you see the detail in the promo pictures? So right there, I'll try to use this magnifying glass to enhance, as it were. You can kind of sort of see that detail, right? Like, you can kind of sort of see that there is in fact some detail. Which tells me they painted it. Probably. So it didn't even use the sticker that came with it. So it just... Yeah, double enhance. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so the only way I could achieve a similar result would be to paint it myself with a Gundam marker. Which, the only Gundam marker I have, the metallic blue, probably isn't even the same shade required. So... it's one of the best things I've come up with. It's so good. You want to actually want to see a picture of what it looks like? Where was it? I had a picture somewhere. If I can freaking find it. What it actually looks like setup was, because it's kind of crazy. Let's see, did I put it in here? Of course. But basically I've got this massive stand, and then I got this magic arm on it. So it's kind of crazy how I've actually got it configured, because it's just a normal magnifying glass, right? Like just a hand-based magnifying glass you can get for like 10 bucks on Amazon. And I got this $25 magic arm solution. There we go. Finally found a picture. Hold on. Because you might actually enjoy what this looks like. Okay. There it is. Let me make this bigger. So as you can tell, I've got this magic arm thing coming down. There's magnifying glass, and then a top down from a camera that's hiding behind the Rode microphone. And that's what the setup looks like. And part of the reason I chose the magic arm was so I can move it around. So if I want to height adjust it or position it somewhere else, I can do so. But yeah, I really like this magnifying glass. It's semi-recent, 1 or 2 kits ago, maybe even this kit actually. I think never started doing this kit as when I got this magnifying glass. I just got pissed off that people couldn't really see what all I was doing. Thanks. And so this way, it's a lot easier to see what I'm doing. Because can you imagine this view fully zoomed out as the only view you see the entire stream for every single aspect of the build? It sucked. This is way better. Alright. There's the sticker. There it is. Now because it's a 3D sticker, that means it's thick. It has some thickness to it. Because, you know, the sticker sheet itself has some thickness to it. And that means there's no way you can sort of just... Oh, there it goes, it bounced. You see that? There it is. Almost lost it there. It almost got launched to orbit. Let me... That did not work at all. I hit the tip of it with adhesive. Okay, let's try that again. It just didn't want to move around on the part the way it's supposed to. Okay, it's kind of sort of on the part. So let's see. I can do this. Okay, what's interesting is when I look at it at a very specific angle, I can actually see the outline of the rings on the part, which tells me that if I can, you know, put some effort into this, I may actually be able to get it to show the outline of stuff to add detail to it, which is something I don't mind trying to do. If it somehow ruins it, I don't care. But yeah, I can sort of tell that it is actually starting to show a little bit of detail. I'm not sure how well that's gonna show up here. I have to hit it with the light just right, and I don't know what angle that will be for the camera to pick it up. Yeah, the problem is it has to be at this weird angle to even see it, so I don't think there's any benefit to it, ultimately. Because it'll be hidden by this part right here, this translucent part on the whole thing. There it is. There's one of these done. Let me do that, and there we go. I do have this other cool pair of tweezers I've not really spent much time using yet. The God Hand PSFT for fingertip tweezer. This is supposed to be, you know, like you use your fingertips to, you know, pick up parts you find and stuff. I saw this clip of someone using it on X, and it was a part that was in a vise, and they were able to pick up the part and the vise with it. So the grip strength of this is supposedly pretty strong. So I got this for giggles because I discovered that God Hand has their own actual official USA retail web store. It's godhandusa.store is the website. It's not even a .com or .us or whatever. It's .store is a web extension. But it's a real thing, and I've got some nippers from them you might not have seen before. Can you guess what this is? With this pink handle? Or can you guess what this is with the orange handle? No way! For real? That's crazy. So the orange ones, so yes, the pink one is the SPN 120L. That is correct. And the orange ones is the PN 120L. So this is the left-handed version of the PN 120. So I use this to remove undergates and for clear parts. And then I use the SPN 120L for everything else the way it's intended. I actually still have the, where is it? Yeah, I still have this right here, so I can reference the booklet and everything in it, because there's a lot of do's and don'ts, and so I try to do my best to use this the way it was supposed to be used. I actually got these sometime around the time I started this model kit. So this is the first model kit I built using these. Before that, I was using the Display SVA 3.0. And what's crazy to me is the PN 120 has a thicker blade, much thicker. So being left-handed, this side's the blade. Being right-handed, this side's the blade. That's why I have them this way. But the blade for the PN 120L is much thicker. Now I have no idea material-wise the difference between this and the Display. But the reality is, in practice, the PN 120L may be more durable. So I don't mind at least trying for now and testing the waters, as it were, to see if I can just, you know, do things with it I shouldn't be doing based on what it says to use them for. But that's crazy that you also have those. I've not run into anyone else who knew what those were yet. I use these as my entry nippers. This is the God Hand PNS 135. This is the first ever pair of nippers I ever bought. The first two model kits I built used this nipper exclusively, and then I used Gum Primer Racer. This is what I used for my first 2 or 3 kits I ever built. Just these two things. Then I eventually upgraded from this to the Rui Tool RM 1.0, which is a purple handle nipper you can get on Amazon for like 16 bucks or under $20. Alright, so we are here for assembly, and it wants basically the rest of the parts. So first off, it wants me to slap this into here, like so. Where is... Hey Godzilla, how's it going? Believe, can do that. Get the part to be where it wants it to be. Yeah, the problem is with how far inside this piece actually sits, there's no way I would be able to angle it properly to show the detail properly, you know? So, I'm not sure what the plan was for that. Okay, when it shows that. Now what I don't remember is which sides, the top and bottom, or the front and back, as it were. I mean, obviously, you can tell by the shape which side's longer and shorter, but I can't tell you which side's the front and which side's the back. I forgot that part. Also, I think I should probably trim that a little bit. I saw this really crazy product on Japan X recently. It's this miniature vise for holding really tiny things, and then the vise is supposed to be, it's like on this beam that you hold with your hand. So the idea is, you know, you can hold it with your fingertips, but it gives you a lot more clearance to interact with the part. So it holds it really well, and so all you're doing is holding the vise itself. And it's this really tiny thing, like even way smaller than this mini vise. And I really want one, because can you imagine using one of those to hold this tiny part and then trimming it and stuff like that? That'd be so good. But to my knowledge, that tool is only in Japan so far. So what did you all think of the recent model kit announcements by Bandai? I've heard all sorts of things from people. I like vices a lot. I use this one right here quite a bit. The disc space spherical. It's pretty crazy. Fully extended, it can easily hold a 135 scale tank or some of the ships and whatnot. I got this mini vise specifically. This is designed to be able to hold, you can tell there's a tiny groove there. This is designed to be able to hold the figures. So you know the pilot or the crew for 1/144 scale or 160 scale or whatever. That will comfortably fit inside here with a flat base that's used on them, so you can hand paint them better. And that's sort of what I got this for. But it has also been useful for other things. There we go. So that's now correct. Interesting. Yeah, it's definitely a way to do it for sure. Honestly, the Rui tool I was using isn't that bad. It's actually not far behind the Display in terms of quality, and for the price being less than half the price of a Display SCA 3.0, it's a no-brainer. Like, that's definitely the entry level. For giggles, I might someday get the... what do they call it? There's this new nipper that's at Hobby Lobby. A single blade nipper that visually doesn't look too different from the Display. And it's super cheap. Like under $10 cheap, or under $15 cheap. And I've been somewhat curious as to how good it actually is. Because the different stuff Hobby Lobby keeps getting is starting to turn it into a one-stop shop to get into the hobby. Which is kind of crazy. Okay. So it wants us to slap this onto here, like so. So that's looking like so far. And then go over here. Slap this part into place. And it wants this part to go here. That's a tight fit. Let me put this on. I really like this glove I got. This cut resistant glove. I wear it whenever I use my hobby knife. I also like wearing it when I assemble stuff because it makes it easier to smoosh parts together without, you know, any pain in my hands or fatigue. And it reduces the fatigue in my hands as well. Let's see, it really doesn't want to go in. Should I be concerned by that reality? I don't see anything on the part itself to indicate I would need to trim something. There we go, I think it went in. There we go. That looks correct. I try to be careful with parts like this, because you don't know how easily it's going to break sometimes. Okay. And it does this for the next step. And then cover this up with this. Interesting. Then I can turn the page. Only took 2 hours and almost 40 minutes before I could turn the page. And we're up here. Okay. So it has one of those openings, and the part has one of the parts that sticks out. So you put it in a certain way, then you rotate it. See if this lets me do that. It does. Haha. Okay. Maybe rotate it a little bit too far here. There we go. And that's the right railgun done. So it can extend like this. It's pretty cool. Unfortunately, you miss all the detail on that part, even though I tried my best to sort of really push the sticker into the part that had detail. I'm noticing I missed some trimming with a hobby knife. I'll pretend I can do that and get away with it. It looks better though, so I'll count that as a win. Yeah, I really didn't just trim these parts at all from the looks of it somehow. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do the rest of that. Oh well, good enough. The good news is, I can make sure I do that to the other side. Alright, let me start with the railgun left. All parts over here. Let me make sure this was actually trimmed. This side actually was, for the most part. Yeah, I definitely trimmed some of this. Now that I know how exposed that is, I'll definitely try to smooth that out a bit better on this side. Alright. First off, there we go. Sticker time again. There it is. See if I can get this done properly again here. I'm not sure I'll bother trying this time to get the detail pushed into the sticker because it looks like it doesn't matter. I'm hoping if I apply pressure with this, as I try to adjust the sticker, that it won't, you know, yeet off into orbit again, because that was crazy. Alright, we'll call that done. So next I use this and encourage it to stay in place. Still seeing that detail again, so we'll say that's fine. Hopefully that's the last time I need to use this mini vise on this kit. Well, until or unless I decide I want to deal with the pilot and stuff. Those look like an absolute nightmare to paint though. The lady especially has so much different color and detail on her outfit, it's ridiculous. Where did it? It fit fine without trimming it, so we're fine. There it is. Okay, so that's that done. Yeah, it looks a lot cleaner than the other side. I fumbled a little bit. I'm looking forward to applying the decals to this kit and eventually top coating. I have bought a spray booth and airbrush setup that I still need to actually set up, and the first thing I'll be doing with it is top coating this kit. Now, that being said, some of it looks to be a bit of a nightmare in terms of figuring out how to top coat it. And how to mask so that certain things aren't top coated or aren't dulled out by what I choose to top coat it with, rather. Because this kit has a lot of really cool detail, even photo etching stickers, right? And depending on what I choose to top coat with, i.e. matte, it may not go as intended. Let's see here. So over here, set to align with the grooves. There we go. And it wants to rotate this way this time. Let's see if I can get that going on here. Ta-da! Alright, that is the second railgun die. Now this is where we want me to attach them, and then to attach the back unit. But because I plan to apply water decals and then do top coat, I'll be doing neither of those things at this time. Which means we now move on to the fourth step, which is the weapons and accessories and stuff. How exciting. Now, before that, I'm going to take a break here real quick. I'll run an add disable pre-roll, and then I'll get back to it. In the meantime, check out the slideshow of my builds and what's in my backlog. Alright, I'm back. So here's the last container of parts. Now, there's only a few parts actually at the bottom of this page here. So let me try to fish those out first. So I know it uses this one. I think it uses these. Okay, that's also gold. That does help. I think it's this part. Alright, if I did it correctly, that's all the parts for this without having to turn the page. Or take all the parts out before turning the page. Admittedly, this one felt a bit unnecessary. Why not just make the part that way in the first place? As opposed to making it separate and then slap something on. Whatever. Wants it to be oriented this way. And then so I'm going to put this on first. Just indicate should be this way, I think. Like so. Oh. And it does this. Okay, that makes sense. It's kind of cool. That was pretty fun. Now we get to turn the page. Now we're up here. This looks like it takes what was already made and slaps the other part on. Go ahead and put all these parts out over here. Okay. So first off, so I believe it goes like this. Then I do this. Then it can go like this. Okay. Yeah, that looks accurate.
Say you chose again, a different story, different way. Will you find your happiness? Or more of just the same?
All right. Now we start with some craziness. By that I mean we focus on the right one, not the left. Okay. So let me figure out what parts we need here. I think it's this part. It wants me to put a sticker on the inside of this somehow. On the inside of that. That's where it wants the sticker. Also, it wants to be larger, transparent things. Okay. Okay. Let's have a laugh at this, alright? This has some detail on it, which you can kind of sort of already see, because it doesn't look like a straight thing, right? Not a smooth surface. So next, so it has detail on it. Wouldn't you know it, the detail it has on it is the exact same detail, shape and everything, as what was on those parts I just applied stickers to earlier. Except it's on the clear part this time. Why didn't they just do that to the railguns as well? What was the point of that detail being on that gray part? Why not have it on this if you're going to cover it up? Why not have it on the sticker? This doesn't make any sense. But there it is. And it has that detail. You have a triple enhance. It's really hard to do, and it's a flipped image. It's really difficult for me to aim that. And for it to actually show the detail properly. And it's difficult for me to achieve. There's a reason this larger one doesn't have that, I imagine. I can only imagine what magnification that ends up being at. This is a 10x magnifying glass. This smaller one is what I initially tested with. This is also 10x. And this is the other way I can try to do the enhance. Just put it up to this instead. Have it be way above. I think I like doing it this way better, though. I would need a magic arm on the other side to hold the magnifying glass the other way to be able to achieve that level of enhance. Hands-free. But yeah, I just find it a bit funny that this part has that detail on it that was on the other part. And it doesn't make sense to me. Alright, then it wants this part right here. And that's it for that step. So let's figure out... I guess I will get out the other vise because I think this one's too big for this tiny part. I think this vise is too big. That would be stupid. That'd be silly. So I think I will end up using this one here instead. The other annoying thing is where and how it has to be done. Let's see here. 'Cause I can do this in kind of a funny way. Let's see. Is that how I want it to go? Then I just do this. Wow. I have so much access to where it needs a sticker now. Crazy. Now for the next obvious question. Is it symmetrical? Or does it have to go in a very specific way? It's this sticker right here. It is not symmetrical, so I'd have to flip it around. So that's how it goes in, technically. Alrighty then. We'll just flip it around then. There we go. Where did vtuber go? I kind of need it now. There it is. Okay. This looks like it actually goes in quite deep. Well, it's in place. Yay. Let's see here. Thankfully, one of these is at an angle, so I can sort of apply pressure and encourage it to stay in place. Woohoo! And then I simply take this out and off we go. Yay! There it is. So then it wants... Okay, so it's indicating part goes a certain way. Yep, I can see it now. I think it wants it to go this way. So... just pretend I can just casually slap that into place and it will magically work. Hopes and dreams, as it were. I don't feel anything holding it in place, like nothing that's locking it in. Well, it didn't fall out, so yay. However, let's see if I can just make sure I'm encouraging it to go in as far as I can. You know, just to be on the safe side. This has some actually good detail to it. Trying to get to where the lighting shows it good. Look at that detail. Isn't that great? You can see all the little markings and stuff that's on this piece. If only they could have had a way to show this similar level of detail on the railgun parts. If only they could have figured that out. To see the solution on an entirely unrelated part blows my mind. And if it had been a different kit that had a viable solution, yeah, that would have been fine. It's literally the same kit. It's 1 or 2 pages separate. I don't get it. Why did they do it this way? It makes no sense. Oh well. Okay, so then it wants some other part. See if I can figure out which part that actually is. I think it's this part. Yeah, this is looking correct. Okay, and then it wants this to go here. Believe it went like that. And then this. I'm confused as to why this exists the way it does. So this cool thing is only on the back of this rifle. Okay. There's still some stickers left. As you can see here. It'll be on this site, the other rifle as well. Okay, so I'm gonna just figure out which part's the other one of these. I get this. So first, I want this to go like this. Cool. And this goes like this. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Alright. Then they talk about all these stickers. It wants me to slap on. Yeah, so there's 4 whole stickers they want on this part. Yeah, so this, and then the same on the other side. So for this, I'll see about using my larger device. So, the way I'm thinking of using it, what I need to do is be able to hold this in place, basically, and give myself access to this. Could be like that. And like that, I guess. I'm gonna be cheeky, I could try putting it here. Yeah, something like that. Maybe that'll work. Let's see. Trying to apply pressure and see. Yeah, that should work. Cool. So there's that. I'll go ahead and take this off. Provide myself with a little bit more dexterity. And it wants specifically 26 and 23 on this side. And then 24 and 25 on the other side. So 26 and 23. So it looks like we're already set up the way we're supposed to go. So let's do that. Got out toothpick, put it somewhere else. That over here too. So easily. So 23. I barely have it. It's not really being held on, it's sort of just hanging on. Okay, it's sort of in place. Whoops. Keeps bouncing around, doesn't it? How? There we go. There's one sticker in place. Gotta be real careful with this, the way it's held on and how thin this is. This is a break waiting to happen, basically. Okay, and then it wanted... Oh, I see. So 23 is on this side, 26 is on the other side. So then I figure out which one of these. So it's 24. So this needs 24. Or doesn't. Sure thing, no problem. The majority of my viewers are lurkers. You'd be surprised how many people enjoy hanging out on a stream where someone's building something and then they also build something. It's almost like the co-working streams, but for specifically building plastic model kits. And it's always cool to see what other people are building too. Alright, that's a 24. I'm realizing the toothpick may not work as well as I had hoped it would. It's in place-ish. There we go. All right. Trying really hard to support this in a way, but I'm not really applying pressure where I shouldn't. But I can still encourage the sticker to do its thing. There we go. Okay, that is now one side done. I think it's this way to loosen. Okay, so next I have to flip it over. Trying to see if I can just cheese using the exact same thing. Doesn't look like a lot, man. Okay. I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't. Haha. Oh wait, that's a season. Yeah, of course. But I was able to use it the other way, so that gives me hope. Oh yeah, it was... Okay, I see the problem. So I was doing it this way before. The question is, how can I flip this around? Yeah, I'll just have to be super lazy with this and do the exact same thing on the other side. So one of these goes here. The other one goes here. Wait a minute, that's what I needed. But now it's just the same thing. Okay, I see now. I needed to do it this way. Classic blunder. There we go. Okay, I see. Some of that might not allow me to do what I want. Okay. Let me move this around. Let's look this. Rainbow. Okay, so it wants 26 and 25. Alright, there we go. The teeny tiny sticker that you can kind of see as a smidge hanging off the tweezer. Goes right here. Somehow. It's in place somehow. Wow. Like it's actually in place. Okay, it was off by like 1 millimeter, but still. We're good to go. Next, yeah, I try to hold it in place so I don't bendy in the wrong way. Okay, that should stay in place. So next, we get the other one. One of these number 25s. Come on, you. Here we go. You can see that one a little bit better. Let's see if I can get this going. Where... Close enough. I can adjust the rest of the way now. There we go. Yay! I don't like how much I'm moving this part though. Okay. Which way's looser? I need to know. And there it is. Looks kind of janky because couldn't clean up the panel line, or couldn't be bothered to clean up the panel line better. I only use an eraser. Okay. That's that step done. Back to assembly. So they say that this just slaps into place basically. Like so. Okay. So then, wouldn't you know it, they have me use the blue part next. Okay. It's definitely wild adding something that's an actual part, which on the high grade was just a sticker you wrap around. It's kind of crazy. Okay. Wow, what's another sticker? This time on the gold part. That's gonna be a pain to attach. Let's see if I can... This goes this way, that's fine. Then actually in place. Basically, no, it's not. Now it is. Okay. So it wants sticker 31. See if I can achieve that. It's these two blues right here. All right, here we go. Then I'm holding it incorrectly, basically. Okay, it's sort of in place. Problem with this sticker specifically is it wants to go onto a surface that is in no way flat. Okay, this is kind of really hard to look at because it's already attached to the thing and everything. It's hard to line it up actually centered. That's probably as close as I'm gonna get. And it moved up somehow. I hate this sticker. That's what I have decided. Yeah, trying to... Okay. Now I'm actually angry. This thing can piss off. There's nothing for it to hold on to. It's a handful of bumps. It's just floating there. What a terrible design. Why even give that part that detail? Obviously it has a detail so it can be painted, right? That means it's an absolute nightmare to put a sticker on. This is ridiculous. Yeah, no matter what I do, it's just gonna float in place. This is stupid. As long as it's attached enough that once I apply the clear part, it should be fine. Correction, it's another part that goes over instead. Well, it's in place. We'll say that's good enough. It's clearly not angled correctly though. Oh, this pisses me off. Yep, and it's just falling right off. Incredible. Great job, Bandai. Great design choice. Yep, this is another case of you should just paint it. That's exactly what this is. Nearly $200 kit, by the way. And how does it want this one to go? Okay. I'll pretend I can do that. I'll pretend really hard. Where them tweezers at? Wow. What a fun part to deal with. I think I may have gotten it to go in. Trying to encourage it to stay where it is. Of course it's not angled correctly. Still not angled correctly. Incredible. I'm wondering how much I should actually care. Well, whatever. There it is, I guess. Oh, maybe that's where ammo goes or something. No, wait, that's where it holds in the other weapon. Of course. Okay. Alright. There's this part that goes in here too. Alright, there it is. They're saying that this goes here. But now the rifle's done. So that's what it's supposed to look like. Cool. Now we build the other rifle. So we start all the way down here. There's only so many parts left, for better or worse. Okay, then this, do this. This part's not really held in at all by the line. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Uh-oh. That explains everything. Because it's only half a part. It's kind of funny, actually. Well, now I have to somehow detach that. How embarrassing of me. Oh well. Got ahead of myself because the part was so well assembled. Let's see if I can encourage split apart. Well, I can encourage that to come out, so there we go, there's that problem solved. You know, that's what matters. I'm guessing I can't get it to conveniently go back into it, right? I could. Okay. I feel like I shouldn't have been able to do that, but whatever. Problem solved, as they say. Now we move all the way up to over here. This move over. We're up here now. Okay. Okay. So there's that one, sure. Okay, cool. We'll get this one into place. Pretend really hard, that's good to go. Let me do this. I believe it's 23 and then 24. There's that. Where did my toothpick go? Here it is. It's close enough. I don't know how it moved like that, but okay. There it is, it's now in place. Alright, next. 24. We'll say it's good to go. Admittedly, it might be pushed forward a bit too much, but it let me, so I don't care. Okay, so next, loosen this. Figure out which way to slap this one. Alright. Almost done sticker-wise. Sort of got it into place. We'll say it's good enough. Got it. Okay. Here we go. This is awkward. There we go. Figured out which way listens. So this is our last sticker, which it doesn't want me to apply yet. Anyway, let me slap this into place. Okay. So that was this step. So now we're over here, which needs the sticker again. 31. Move that out of the way. I think that's what the problem is. Hopefully it's good enough for me to be able to apply it. I'm still annoyed by this sticker specifically, but whatever. See if I can hold on to it the way I want. Okay, got it. It's sort of in place. It's in place enough that I can encourage to go where I want. Hopefully. This sticker, man. Okay, let's just go ahead and take it off the ice. I think that's gonna be a better choice. Still though, this is ridiculous. Who thought this design was a good idea? Honestly, I'd have better luck if I sanded the part down. Which I refuse to do. As depressingly as good as it's gonna get. There we go, we're done. Okay. Next. Wow, I almost said it wrong. That's crazy.
Just like the sea, it grounds me. I'm laying my roots all around you, and just like the pine surrounding,
Okay, cool.
I bury my youth. I found my
There we go. There it is. So then the last thing to do is to slap this on and do that. All right, that's both rifles done. Let me put these tools up. Since to my knowledge, I do not need any more stickers. You know, so everything else is just if I want to do the beam saber or whatever. So, for some weird reason, on this kit it wants me to take off the emotion manipulator hands and use the fixed hands for both weapon accessories. That's what it's showing here. Then I go down, shows the same thing, use a very specific hand for the rifles to be able to hold them in place properly. Which does make logical sense, I suppose. Yep, and then lastly, you do the cool shield effect, taking that off, putting that on. So that's cool, I guess. And then all it does is the action base stuff. What? That's actually crazy. So it's showing that you can do this. Now I'm not sure why you would do this in a way that removes this part. I think we're just showing that, yeah, for explanatory purposes, some images have been omitted. Yep, that makes sense. Okay, so it's showing some cool things you can do with it. To me, that's really cool. You can have that part be back here, so you can attach the beam rifles to there. Which means you'd be having it in a position that doesn't do anything at all. Which, yeah, that's cool too. Oh, okay, so we're saying it's actually the left one. So you can do this. And that's how that would work. It's kind of cool idea though, I guess. Oh, I see now. Because then this part would be part of the thing. I really don't know how I want to display this. But there it is. So that's all I will be doing for today. At this point, all I technically lack is doing all the decals. So whatever decals I decide I want to do, and then top coating. That's quote-unquote what I lack. So yeah, I won't be doing the decals today, I'll be doing them tomorrow. For giggles, let me find the decals though, they're somewhere. Here are the decals, here's the coral shield effect, which was 2, I don't know why they have 2. Not sure why I would use both at the same time, but it has 2 to do that. So here are the decals. Some of these have some cool metallic foil effect to them, so those are definitely ones I'm going to be using. I'm kind of surprised at the decals though. Specifically, there's just a bunch of each one. So that looks like a pain, because there's so many of them. And it shows them being used multiple times, multiple places. So that's low-key crazy to me. Like, man. But yeah, there they all are. Yeah, there's a lot more decals on this than I thought. I doubt I'll use every single one of these. Oh well. Anyway. Why isn't 28 mirrored? And do I only use it once when it comes to 3 of them? So it only shows it once. That's kind of funny to me. Oh well. One of the things about not using decals means that they'll be there again later on, right? So that's also exciting. Anyway. So that's what I lack. And I'll definitely be using some of these. Like, I definitely want to use that for sure. Definitely want to use these. I'll definitely be using that. I want to use stuff on the back units and the weapons and the accessories. I just don't know how far I'll go with these decals. I mean, this looks like a full day right here. That's what I see when I see all these decals. Is each decal, let's say it takes each decal 3 minutes, right? There's a lot of decals. There's 37 types of decals, and there's multiple of each one. So there's easily 100 decals on this, probably. Well over 100 decals right on this sheet. So you think of, 3 minutes a pop, at least. That includes figuring out where they should go. Then, that's 6, 7, 8 hours just to apply some decals. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, that's what I will be doing next. It's cool to see these, though. Alright, that's gonna be it for me for today. I will pick up where I left off tomorrow. I'm not sure if I will try to start as soon as I wake up or not. It sort of depends, but that's the plan. So before this weekend is over, I will be done with this, and I will have prepared the kit for top coating, which I will then do once I have the spray booth stuff set up. Still need to order some things for that. As far as what to expect from me schedule-wise, currently I am on break from work. I work full-time during the week. Typically, my only free days are Sunday and sometimes Saturdays. It sounded like I will always have Saturday off as well, most likely going forward as well, so that could be nice. Anyway, so I'm off work for 2 weeks. So for these next 2 weeks, starting today, I will be more active streaming things. So in addition to doing this hand cam stuff, I'll do a little bit of gaming. I've got a poll going on YouTube. But yeah, so that's sort of what you can expect from me schedule-wise and stuff. I've got a community post on YouTube detailing what you can expect from me during this break period where I can be more active. But yeah, so I hope you all have a good rest of your day, and I will catch you all later.